So much to discuss. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. And I'm officially checking in over here at Moments with Us. You all check in. Let us know where you're watching from and how you are doing. Of course, I'm checking in from Northern New Jersey. To this Dollar Tree over in Maplewood. Staples also A plus. These past few years showed me. Hey family, welcome back to another video. Happy Saturday. Hopefully you all are doing well. If you are new here, we're going to jump right into our news, comments, and reports when we discuss some things that is going on. This big beautiful bill, I want to jump into that and see what's the breakdown of it. What would be the outcome of some of the things that's expected from this bill. Would it affect us? Would it help us? What it's going to do for us? Or what it's not going to do for us? So we're going to find out about that. So let's jump right into it. This is Shauna, and I'm officially checking in over here at Moments with Us. You all check in. Let us know where you're watching from and how you are doing. Of course, I'm checking in from Northern New Jersey. Let's see exactly what is going on. All right, fam. First and foremost, y'all gotta let me know how you all, because I know some of y'all already know about it. How y'all feel about this big, beautiful bill that passed? It was passed by Congress. I'm not too sure if Trump, even if he didn't sign off on it yet, he was all positive, all positive vibes about it. He's for this bill. Yeah, so y'all gotta let me know how y'all feel about this big, beautiful bill. Actually, I think he did. If I'm not mistaken, I think he did sign off on it last night. So, big, beautiful bill. Here we come. So, what are some expectations from this bill? The House did pass this massive spending and tax bill that include signature policies of President Trump's second term agenda, right? So this so-called big beautiful bill, he did actually sign off on it. They approved the bill by 218 to 214 votes. The big beautiful bill, is given extensions from Mr. Trump's tax cuts from 2017. It's the 2017 Tax Cuts and Job Act. They're saying that was supposed to end, so that's going to be extended. The legislation would make most of the tax cuts permanent. It would increase spending for border security, they're saying. Defense and energy production. They're saying that the bill is partially paid for by making significant cuts, though. So here's where it plays a part. So in order to fund this bill, they have to make cuts elsewhere. So here's where it gets a little messy. So they're going to make significant amount of, a significant, maybe a massive, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. I don't know. Because this is what's being said. They're going to make a significant amount of cuts to Medicaid, to SNAP benefits, a lot of nutrition assistant programs. I believe that's such as WIC. To healthcare in general, I don't think it's just Medicaid. There's other there's other options for healthcare. Like, I think it's called a scale pay or something like that. Like if you're low income, but you don't qualify for Medicaid for whatever reason, they go according to your income and you pay that way. They also have other programs that's like charity care, health insurance that you can get through hospitals and all. So I believe all of that will be affected. So the Congressional Budget Office estimates the bill would add $3.4 trillion to federal deficits over the next 10 years and leave millions without health insurance. Well, y'all heard that, right? And it says over the next 10 years. And if you know anything, and if you've been here, or if you've just been living and seeing everything happen and unfold, it says in the next 10 years, this stuff is supposed to be happening. But honestly, it happens just like that. Just like that, literally. When they talk about funding being cut, they can cut it literally just like that. And it's going to take no time. No time. Like the funding was cut for Job Corp. So if any of you, I don't know if everyone know about Job Corp, but it's another program for, you know, kids to get into like a second school option where they can take up a trade and get their diploma and, you know, make money at the same time. They cut funding though. Some of them kids was left out on the street just like that. That's how fast they go. Just like funding cut. What we gonna do? And these are kids, young adults. Man, oh man, it's definitely a storm. And honestly, if you guys want to dig deep into this bill versus just a little breakdown, you guys can always view the bill. It's free to the public. It's open to the public. You guys can view all the pages of the bill, of every little breakdown of what's expected. So they're going to have Medicaid restrictions. The legislation includes restrictions on Medicaid, which provides government-sponsored health care for low-income and disabled Americans. The bill, it does impose work requirements for some able-bodied adults and more frequent eligibility checks. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the bill would result in 11.8 million Americans losing health coverage under Medicaid over the next decade. There's the time, over the next decade. But honestly, some things happen just like that. And I'm not saying this to scare anyone, because I never made videos that was fear-mongering. I did receive like a few comments like over, I don't know, maybe a year or so. Fear-mongering. But if anyone actually ever click and watch, I'm never making videos to fear-monger. I'm actually just going off of what I'm at, you know, seeing or even experience myself. They're saying that they are cutting a certain amount of federal funding. It is to states that use Medicaid infrastructure to provide health care coverage to undocumented immigrants, along with banning Medicaid from covering transgender services. And I believe over in the Army, if I'm not, it's the Army, military, wherever, they are actually, they're no longer accepting transgender people. Just like that. They're saying that they're weighing in on what's known as the provider tax, which states use to help fund their portion of Medicaid costs, in a blow to the Senate GOP's initial plan. But it's still not gonna be a good thing, just because a lot of people rely on Medicaid. A lot of families do rely on Medicaid. Medicaid, Medicare, something that's funded some way, somehow by the government, or the job insurance. Either way, just make it like every other country. Like when it comes down to healthcare, you know, why we have to pay so much for healthcare? So Homeland Security and Immigration, they're going to be working on that. They're going to be increasing the state and local tax deduction or SALT. Also, they're changing the whole green energy policies as well. Restrictions on food stamps. So the bill still shifts the cost of SNAP or food stamps to some states. The program is currently fully funded by the federal government. So if it's anything that's federally funded, it's going to be touched anyhow. Yeah, I know that, right? So the federal government would continue to fully fund the benefits for states that have an error payment below 6%, they're saying. Beginning in 2028, states with error rates above 6% would be on the hook for 5 to 15% of the cost. States are also given some flexibility in calculating their share. The package also aligns with the initial House version on age requirements for able-bodied adults to qualify for SNAP benefits. Currently, in order to qualify, able-bodied adults between 18 and 54 must meet work requirements. Both the Senate and House bills would update the age requirements to 18 all the way up to 64 with some exemption for parents. Alaska and Hawaii could receive waivers for work requirements if it's determined that they're making a good faith effort to comply. I don't know what that means, but I guess it means like if you're trying to find work or whatever, you can be exempt from that. 18 to 54, you got to be okay. So that's the only thing that changed. So they increased the work requirements from 54 to 64. How? So many 64-year-olds. So many. I'm not going to say all, but it is a lot. I'm seeing like some of the 64-year-olds when it comes down to health, their health really isn't that good. While I see some 64-year-olds that's doing a darn thing. But that's a whole nother topic. That's crazy. All the way up to 64, you still got to meet those work requirements if you do need assistance. They are going to start to address the debt limit as well. The legislation would raise the debt ceiling by $5 trillion, going beyond that $4 trillion outlined in the initial House passed bill. Why? They're going to increase it to $5 trillion, but making so many cuts makes sense. They're going to be working with that child tax credit. The current 2000 child tax credit is set to return to the pre-2017 level of $1,000 in 2026. Well, the credit will permanently increase to $2,200 under the bill, which is $300 less than the initial House pass hike. Limits on overtime tips and deductions. Some of you have been waiting on this one. Some people say it's a good thing. Some people say it's a bad thing. It's a good thing because if you do work overtime, at least it will go untaxed. But when things go untaxed, they will have to definitely cut that funding. So this bill, it would allow individuals to deduct a certain amount of tip, wages, and overtime from their taxes. They're saying, but this would expire in 2028. The no tax on tips, okay. And the spending bill would create a new deduction for tip workers, eliminating what they owe in federal tax income. Tip workers would still have to pay state and local income tax on their payroll. So the Senate version varies from the initial House passed provisions on a few key points, including how much a worker could claim in deductions. The Senate proposal limits that deduction to $25,000, while the early House version was actually uncapped. They're going to be making changes to the standard deduction when you do file those taxes. The bill seeks to permanently expand the basic standard deduction, which was nearly doubled in 2017. The increases will expire at the end of the year, they're saying. So much to look forward to. So many cuts that's going to be made with food stamps, Medicaid, food stamps, SNAP, same difference. They're, like I said, they're talking about the Homeland Security and immigration. They're saying the legislation include more than $46.5 billion for border wall construction and related expenses. It includes so much money, but yet people were still getting through. But then they're talking about immigration and deportation, but so many people are still getting through. So where the money really going? $45 billion to expand detention capacity for immigrants in custody, and about $30 billion in funding for hiring, training, and other resources for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Bull. And I'm only saying this just because they put in so much money into this immigration situation, and still so many people were coming through, but yet cutting funding elsewhere and still funding other countries. Like, okay, all right, no problem. We talked about the restrictions on the food stamps already. Just watch out for the age limit, and they're gonna start enforcing those work requirements. The green energy policy, they saying the final bill passed by Senate would largely terminate numerous tax incentives from the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act for clean energy, electric vehicles, and energy efficiency programs that benefit customers. And I know Elon is so PO'd by this one. It would end tax credits for new and used electric vehicles, installation of home EV charging equipment. So if you buy your EV and you was, getting a nice little tax break from it, it wouldn't be anymore. They're ending that. Especially if you went ahead and installed your home EV charging equipment station there. The bill also ends the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which gives funding to nonprofit organizations providing financing for projects that reduce pollution and greenhouse gas emissions in communities. Existing contracts and grants under the program, they're saying it's not affected. Yeah. I think there's a lot. It's so much more to this bill. Like I said, you can always pull the bill up just to do a deep dive in it to see every little thing that's expected from this bill. And that's just some of the things. It's not all. That's just some to watch out for. It's going to be chaos when so many people, lose their Medicaid or food stamps or whatever. It's going to be a new thing for survival. So it's like now is the time. If you do rely on those assistants, and you are able-bodied. If you are able-bodied, I can't judge nobody on their situation because that's them. But I can only give some tips of advice. If you are able-bodied and you are relying on assistance, now is the time to go ahead. If you have not started your stockpile, start your stockpile. Work on a trade. If you can get back into the workforce, get into the workforce. Build your savings, because at the end of the day, them higher ups ain't gonna give a crap about you, me, your family. It's gonna be up to you to take care of it regardless. Famine is a lot. It's gonna be so much happening in the world. There's so much happening right now. But when people don't know, let's say, how to survive or how to function or live without, and with the cost of everything, right? With the cost of everything in general, is going to make life so much harder for a number of families. This big, beautiful bill is not so beautiful. And it only really benefits the rich. If your money funny, then it's going to remain funny or get worse, because it's not going to benefit regular people like you and I. It's not going to even benefit the person that's working 2-3 jobs just to make it. It really only benefits the rich, really. But it is what it is. Of course, to each their own. If changes are going to be made, they're saying this can be up to a decade from now, but with some of these changes, with the bill. But I don't think so. The time limit that they give us is never the correct time limit. Things are happening just like that. But that was today's discussion. Honestly, guys, it's Saturday. I got some things to do. I really just wanted to jump into this big, beautiful bill. I want to get you guys input. Maybe we could come back, run it back, and talk about it, depending on what you guys say and want to discuss. Like I said, that was not the whole bill. That was just some of the, things listed. If you want access to the full bill, but you do not feel like going and looking it up and finding it, I'll just put it in a pinned comment down below. This way you guys can just click the link if that's what you want to do. To have access to it, because it's a hot mess. I didn't see too much. No, I'm gonna leave that where it's at. We're gonna say that for another video. All right. So we're gonna leave this video right here where it's at. Like I said, please let us know how you guys feel about this big old beautiful bill. It's so beautiful. That's how they see it. It's the most beautiful thing on this earth. So we're gonna leave this video right here where it's at. You guys remember to keep your faith, and all we can really do is move on. Walk by faith. And I'm going to leave it right there. This is Shauna. If you are new here and you did enjoy today's video, all you have to do is subscribe to become part of the family. So simple. Just like that. Press that notification bell. So you can be notified when I do upload. And it's really just that simple. Thank you for tuning in if it's your first time. Thank you for returning if you've been here before. This is Shauna once again, and I'm officially checking out from Moments with Us. Make sure you all stay prepped, stay blessed, stay safe, and most of all, remain beautiful queens and kings. Until next time, love you all and God bless. Peace. Y'all stay safe out there.